everyone, this is Chris Williams with Adventuring Wheels Up. A lot of the videos we do, I am going to have Sean. He is not with me here. It is an empty chair that is there. That helps if I actually open up my back window for you. Today I am going to do a reading of a Medal of Honor. And it's going to be an interesting person. It's Smelden Butler. And he is one of 16 military personnel, one of 14 who have received it with the 4 different events that have happened. His that he received the Medal of Honor for was with the Marine Corps, and they were for separate events. But before I do that, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. This is going to be my first reading of the Medal of Honor, and I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be not nearly as good as it will be in the future. I'm going to be learning things as I go along, but I want to be able to get these out here. It's more important to be able to get these to you as quickly as possible, more so than to make sure that everything is done as well as possible. Now, I do want to have a good product, and it will get a good product out there, but being able to show respect to these great men is something that is more important than taking the time to make certain that everything is done correctly. I figure it will improve as we go along, and later on down the road, it'll be interesting to see the difference in quality of what we're doing. An example of that is I want to be able to tape off of my screen share, and what I'm going to be doing right now is taping off of my phone and showing you exactly what I want to be able to see. Also, I want to let you know that sometimes there's going to be a few problems trying to get things together. For example, I am on a cruise right now and don't have all the technological advantages that I'd have if I was doing this back in Orlando. But it's such a hardship to have to do this from the balcony of my car. I mean, here I am sitting there looking out of the ocean with a frozen margarita working on my laptop. Get much better than that, does it? But there are going to be a lot of improvements. Like you can see, right now I'm in the process of getting a new tooth, and it's going to affect the way that I look. That will be improved. I am not wearing my fedora, my Cuban fedora, today because this video is more about honoring veterans than it is about me. And a lot of it I'm not going to be showing myself after this because, as I said, I want this to be more about the veterans than it is about myself. And I do want to let you know that I will be covering 2 passions that are highly important to me, and that is veterans helping veterans. And one thing that bothers me is 22 veterans a day committing suicide. That, if 1 is too high, but 22 is definitely way too high. And that is 2 areas I'm going to be concentrating on and talking to people. Everybody has value. We all have problems that we can work with. We can help each other out and be able to get things through. But for now, let's go ahead and get started being able to talk about Smelden Darling. I'm going to turn this, and I'm actually going to show what it is on my computer screen. Hopefully you can read it, what it is that I'm saying, but he has a couple of citations. My citations that were not as long or detailed as what they are today. But I'll tell you right now that Smelden Butler will be classified as a badass. He was extremely decorated. He was the most decorated soldier up to that time. By the end of his career, he did make the rank of Major General. Now, what I'm going to do now is do a citation, just read the citation of what his first one was for. And as you can see, it is just 1 paragraph long. And what it says is First Award for Distinguished Conduct in Honorable Engagement of Veracruz on 22 April 1914. At that point in time, he was a major, eminent in comprehension and command of his battalion, an exhibition of courage and skill in leading his men through actions in the 22nd and in the final occupation of the city. Here's the second citation, which reads into 2nd award as commanding in sailor detachment from the USS Connecticut. Major Butler led the attack on Fort Riviere in Haiti, 17 November of 1915. Following a concentration drive, several different detachments of Marines gradually closed on the fort southern wall. Okay, let me see here. I'm having a problem reading this because of the sun. When there was a small ongoing opening in the wall, Major Butler gave the signal to attack, and Marines from the 15th Company poured through the breach, engaged the Cacos in hand-to-hand combat, and took the bastion and crushed the Casco resistance. Throughout the perilous actions, Major Butler was conspicuous for high bravery, forceful leadership. And what's impressive is these are not the only things that he has done. He was, as I said, considered the most awarded soldier at that point in time. Right here you can go through his Wikipedia page and be able to tell a little about him. He grew up from a pretty well-to-do family. His father was an attorney and ended up having a career in the U.S. Congress. And that's how he got his start in the military. After that, when he did join the military, he did decide to make it a career, and he was able to get many awards that were out there. Right here, as I said, we're just talking about his early life. He was born July 30th in 1881 in Pennsylvania. He was the eldest of three sons. His parents were descendants of the local Quaker families. Both parents were of entirely English ancestry in the families. So basically, he came from a well-to-do Quaker family in Pennsylvania. His family went into Congress after having a successful career in the private sector. And that helped him in his life be able to get started. And right here is just an interesting article that I went to that you can go to talking about a gangster in capitalism. What is interesting about Smedley Butler is the fact that while he was a badass, a war hero, the most decorated soldier, he's a little bit complex because he did try to run for Congress, I think he ran for the Senate, and he did not win. He was known for discussing things he shouldn't discuss about foreign affairs. He had a pretty negative view of the military after he got out, and he thought that the military was built a lot on capitalism and was not helping a lot of the people that were out there, and that the wars were meant to help certain people make money. He was convinced that the military was trying to overturn the Roosevelt administration, that would be Theodore Roosevelt, and he wrote in his book about those conspiracies. I have no idea whether they're true or not. I'm not going to comment on that. But it's just interesting that he did have those views, and that's one thing I do want to hit on, is even when a soldier does great things, that the time, it does not mean that he has to agree with the Department of Defense all the time. It does not mean that he has to agree with everything that the military does. I can tell you as a veteran, I love this great nation. I love the military. I do not always like what our military does, but 100% of the time, I will support the veterans. And that's what I'm going to be asking you to do. And it's important to do, even when you have these unique people that are characters, explaining what they did throughout their careers and how it might have changed and how they might not have the same views they did when they first started up. And these are idle pages. Right here, what I did is I did a quick search on AI to be able to find out a little bit more about him. And it's talking about his military career, where he served 14 years in the Marine Corps. He fought in a couple of wars. One of the only two Marines to be awarded the Medal of Honor twice. That's impressive to get awarded the Medal of Honor once. But to be awarded twice is extremely amazing to me. Once was Veracruz, Mexico, and once was in Haiti. And a business plot in 1934, Butler testified before Congress that wealthy businessmen had approached him to lead a coup called the business plot against President it was Franklin D. Roosevelt. I thought it was Theodore Roosevelt. Against President Franklin D. Roosevelt. He exposed it instead. Again, I do not know for sure if that's 100% true or whether it's not. Unique military distinction. In addition to the two Medals of Honor, Butler received the Marine Corps Brevard Medal for heroism. That a lot of people will consider to be almost the equivalent of receiving the Medal of Honor. That's an extremely impressive award. I know that he also received the Army Medal of Valor and the Navy Medal of Valor. Those are very prestigious awards that he's received, pretty much as high as you can get. And so you're talking about somebody who's a badass, somebody who did a lot of good things for the country in our military, somebody who's done a lot of things. And I'm trying to go back to some of these pages that I had on here because I had the pages saved on the laptop. I don't have connectivity to my laptop right now. Right here was just talking about how Cruz contagious and protest the war to show that he basically was a little bit of a protester at the time. Despite being a military hero and having the accolades that he had, Major General Butler seemed to contradict a lot of what he stood for. And in my opinion, that's okay. We don't have to agree with somebody all the time. And what he did stands true, even if some of his opinions you might not agree with in the past. His actions do speak for themselves. And let me see if I can go down here and get another page that I have saved, because there's one in particular I was wanting to look at. I'm hoping I can find it in my pages, and because it showed a lot of the awards that he had listed out. I don't think that I have that page saved like I thought that I did. But in general, I'm going to switch this back onto me, but basically I do want to say that he is definitely somebody that is a war hero, was able to receive extreme decorations, including the Medal of Honor twice. Somebody that we can look up to and be able to say, hey, this is somebody who has done a lot for the military, was part of the military, was willing to be able to give up his life, and went out of his way to be able to make sure he did the best job possible. And later in life, he decided to change his mind on a lot of his views and thought that the military was not of a strong character as he would like it to be, and that's perfectly okay with me. And I hope it is with you as well. Because when you do great things, you show that you have the courage, you show you're willing to do things to be able to risk your life, show things that you're willing to do whatever is possible for this great nation. Sometimes what you do outside of that should not take away from that. It's a separate event, and you still get credit, in my opinion, for doing the things that you did that were so great, so admirable, and so impressive. But with this right here is going to be the ending of the reading. What I am going to try to do is, like I did in other ones, of not only reading the citation, but I want to go into a little bit of the background with you and explain what made them a little bit different. Some about their post-military career, some about their pre-military career, but let you know who they are individually and get a feeling for who that Medal of Honor recipient is. And I'm also going to ask you to please like this and please subscribe to us. I will be doing this on a weekly basis. I'm going to try to get it done every Saturday, but life happens. And like I said, I'm on a cruise right now, which has given me a couple of disadvantages in trying to get this together. But it is sort of nice to do it with an ocean breeze, looking over the water and drinking a nice frozen margarita, enjoying myself. But at the same time, I want to say keep remembering the 22 veterans a day that lose their lives, commit suicide. Remember that veterans can help veterans. And I do want to express that I want you guys to be able to read Medal of Honor. But if there is a medal reading that you are passionate about and want to be able to read the citation and have it explained about them, please let us know. And also, if you do want to be part of the reading because that person had a special impact on your life, let us know that as well. And also, if there was a Medal of Honor recipient who did something to be able to save your life or somebody that you know, please let me know that as well so I can go into that story. And a lot of the information I get will possibly be information that I can't find readily on the internet. But until then, make sure to enjoy the rest of your day. Wheels up. Thanks again. Bye-bye.